Go live. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. We made it. Fascinating. So I wonder if there's ways to, well, here we are.
We're live.
Tiago. Let's just see if I'll just check the page just to make sure that we are, and then I'll do some introductions.
It says live on Facebook on my end.
Yeah, it does on mine too. Oh, great. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, welcome so much, Tiago Fernandez de Lima. I mean, creator, actor, public servant, like just person extraordinaire. And my personal favorite title for you is Soul Brother. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, this Sunday, talking about self-mastery. I'm really excited to just jam with you.
I feel honored. Honestly, this is a subject that I love. It's a beautiful Sunday. I'm looking at the sun and I'm just feeling the bliss of like just having good conversations and just learn and share. Like that's the beauty of being alive, you know?
It really, really is. I mean, I'm still enjoying my coffee, so.
Oh, I'm having a tea and I'm feeling like very, very present with my tea because it's very pleasurable.
Nice. Very, very nice. So, Tiago, 2022 for me is all about personal self-mastery and finding out what others' journey has been like and sharing my own journey and helping other people to discover their journey. And I watched you, and I mean, we've been friends for a long time now, but 2021 was a fantastic year for you, specifically with one creative project. I mean, you did many, but let's talk about Have I Told You Today?
Let's do it.
And I'd love to know, like, there's so many of us, we get this creative idea, this flash of inspiration, and then like sometimes it fizzles out. So when did you get this idea? Tell us more about it, please.
100%. So this started during the pandemic. So I have a friend who just went through breast cancer. She removed her breast. She's about early 30s, which is a pretty traumatic experience for her. Yet she's one of the most positive person, like no victim, everything, you know, it's just life. And every time, no matter what, when you encounter her, it's that flash of bubble of energy and happiness, joy, pure joy. And during the pandemic, we didn't get to see each other because she was at high risk for having cancer. And we spent about eight months without seeing each other. When December 2020 came about, 24th is her birthday. So things were starting to open up. We were doing pretty good with the pandemic. And then we decided to meet just her and another friend for dinner to celebrate her birthday. And in that meeting, she said, I really miss during the pandemic running into people that in that 10 seconds just make you feel like, oh, like it's a compliment or something like that. They pass through you and just feels really, really good. And she said, I love when you just run into me and just like, I miss running into Tiago and feeling like, oh, that was just feels good. And then at that moment we were talking and I committed to do TikTok and a video a day for her. And something that I used to say a lot, it comes, you know, everything in life is a gift. So being an immigrant, sometimes I would say things in a way that sometimes Canadians don't say it, but they get it. Yeah. So I used to say, have I told you today that I love you? People usually say, have I told you lately? But I had this idea of like, have I told you today? And people get this puzzled face like, no, but you just did in your question somehow. So I don't really know what to answer. And even though it's an awkward way of asking that question, I started to love it so much because one, it's something unexpected. So I get people to get out of their pilot mode because their brain is used to certain questions and they answer the same way. And then when you throw an oddball, it's like, oh, stop. I got to think before I respond. And the today, it's very important because it's a daily practice. This is not lately. Well, if I've told you in the last 6 months, and lately is not defined, right? 6 months, last month, last week, then I'm good. But today is a practice. So it came with this, have I told you today? And then I said, I'm going to do this video. And I had no idea how this would go. And which is incredible when you start this journey of having an idea. And sometimes we stop that idea because we don't know where exactly we'll land.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to surrender through the journey and figure it out. Like, ideas will come to you, right? The more that you dig, the more you're going to reflect, the more this is going to take shape and go in a different direction. And I think that that has been with my journey. So I've went through 2021, and every day I posted a video online with "Have I told you today something?" And I think that's the project. And we can talk about more how the journey has moved, and how it became a little bit of a self-mastery. But that was the genesis of "Have I Told You Today?"
So beautiful. I love these heart-to-heart connections so heart-to-heart connections, loving someone can often be an intangible thing, right? It's an emotion, but for people who bring it into tangible things, like here's a video, here's a card, here's a gift, here's a poem, here's a piece of art, it's like that I made, there's just something so human about that form of self-expression. So thank you for being that in the world, first and foremost.
Absolutely. And again, like, I've been reading a lot, Pamela, and I find that those creative juices, when they come with a purpose that, you're just trying to commit to put something in the world without, I think we often value the success before the journey.
Yeah.
And then we ended up planning our journey around success. And I think it needs to be the other way around. Make a journey that you're happy with, and then success will follow. And I know we hear that many times through different ways, and sounds very, very cliche. But I think it becomes a genuine practice when you're doing for the journey. So for me, it was like, I was committed to put this message out. I wanted to, just be positive and create this pay it forward idea that, if you receive that, "Have I told you today?" You are awesome.
Yeah.
You have bliss. And then go and tell someone, because, it feels good to give as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of it became that practice that I just wanted to put the message out. It didn't matter to me what people were saying, or how many likes I got, or how many views I got. Like, this was metrics of success for society, but to me, my metric was, this is the message that is authentic to me that I want to put out today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Simon Sinek's work, Start With Why. People buy what you do, not buy why you do it, not what you do. And, when someone's why is so authentic and genuine and heartfelt, and when their why is beyond them, right? So you didn't create these videos so that you could feel better. It's because you had this friend that you were thinking of, that you cared about, and you wanted to give a message every day.
Yeah, and for me, it was very interesting because sometimes I would get comments, and comments on the internet can go anywhere. Some are not so fun, some are very genuine. And said that one person that sometimes would write to me and saying, "Thank you, I really needed to listen that today," right? So to me, it was like, that's success. I don't need anything else. I put this positive energy in the world, and it connected with one person. That's success, right? Like, the message is out. But I want to go back to your question about, how do we get those ideas and we don't let them move, right? So I think we talk a little bit about the purpose and why you do what you do. I think the second piece is, how do you make it to be a habit?
Oh,
Right?
absolutely.
And
Because Tiago, I know you and I know me, and I know there's a lot of people like us. So many ideas. Like every day is full of ideas. And I've probably spent more of my life feeling bad about not bringing those ideas to life than I have bringing ideas to life. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Which is really funny, right? It's like, imagine for someone that is super creative and you love having ideas, and not being able, like, then your energy is now focused on feeling that you're not enough or you're not delivering, instead of jumping into, like, I'm a great creator and I'm getting those things out and feeling that fulfillment. So I think two things. One, it's coming up with the entrepreneur mind. They know that out of 10 investments they're going to do, maybe one will be successful. And you need to be okay with that, because our brain are full of ideas, right? And we everything all the time. So I think that is number one. The number two is about how do you make it to be a habit? And something that I read lately that resonated with me, and I'm sure many of your your followers and connectors have read him. So it's James Clear, and he came up with this book called Atomic Habits, which really started to shift my mind. And it's like, you want to make a big change, maybe if you start so small that it's easy, it's pleasurable, it's satisfactory, it's attractive to you, and it's so obvious that then it will become a habit. I think part of us, like, I want to climb the Himalayan or something, and it's 100% or nothing, right? We don't go into this. And I think our society values a lot intensity over consistency. That is, we hear the person that climbed the Everest. We hear about the person that lost 100 pounds. We don't hear about the training they did for 3 years to get to that point, right? So I think our brain have been trained to focus on that intensity of the result instead of the consistency of the practice. And I think that's why the work of James have been really important lately for me, thinking about, I look back, I have done 365 videos. If I had started with that intent, that like, oh, I'm going to do 365 videos, it wouldn't have happened, right? Because life is busy. I wouldn't have had the time to take 2 weeks or 3 months to plan this and shoot them every day. But the fact that became an easy thing that I did on my phone, I made it, I found a spot in the house, and over time just left the spot there with the tripod that I just needed to literally go in front of it and press play. It just became easier and easier. And over time, with that 1 day video of 30 seconds, here we go, 365, right? So I think we have those ideas. One, listen to that call, challenge that call to really find why you do what you do. And then surrender, and I don't want to use the word suffering, but surrender to and we use the journey, but I want to say just to the hard work, like, I think suffering is part of the process, right? There are times that I could have been on the weekend playing, and I dedicated that 1-2 hours to be in front of a camera. So there are choices, so there are sacrifices. And I think, I don't know if social media creates this, I'm living my best life, that it's 100. We think everyone is having this 100%, 10 out of 10 all the time, when in fact, we're all doing the work to get to that. And it's okay. It's okay to feel hard, to feel tired, to feel pushed. And then you feel great after, like that balance.
It's so much so. And do you remember, I think like within the first week of us meeting back in, like, I can't even remember when now, but it doesn't matter. I said to you, it was in a career context, but really it's a life context. The first and best thing you can do for yourself is to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes, queen.
And I would say that, like, suffering or the surrender that you're talking about is that, we live our lives and most things become routines and habits, and they feel very familiar and therefore comfortable because they're known to us.
Yep.
But I say surrender that. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to be in the unfamiliar territory because you've said this is what you're up to, just because, and make it that habit. As you said, to be consistent with it, consistently uncomfortable, really.
100%. And Pamela, I love what you said. And to this day, it's something that I actually wrote. I have a life book, and it's like the lessons that every year I have 1 or 2 lessons, like, this is my life lesson of the year. And that's one that has been consistent there, lean towards your uncomfort, because being uncomfortable is a great place to be. It makes you move. If you're comfortable, you don't move, right? So you're stagnant. So I think it's such a aha moment that, like, oh, everyone wants to be comfortable. But the moment that you are, then you're not growing, you're not challenged, you're not moving, right? But everyone wants to move, but nobody wants to be uncomfortable, and it's like one doesn't go without the other.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. But what I love is that we don't have to do it alone. And so also for me, 2022 is all about doing it like a rising tide raises all ships. Let's do it together, folks.
It doesn't need not to be fun, right? So I think that's the other piece, that it's, don't see suffering as I'm crying on my couch, right? It's like, what can you find those things are hard for most people, but for you, it's not that hard. I loved being in front of the camera. I loved giving pieces of advice. I loved sharing love with the world, right? What are those things that are hard, but it comes easier to you? It's not easy, but it comes easier to you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I did want to share for anyone who's listening to this now or later, James Clear, I think it's jamesclear.com, but just Google Atomic Habits, James Clear. He has a 30-day course for free. And he shares all of his tips. If you, if you can't get the book, I've listened to the audiobook at least 3 times all the way through in 2021. And I shared with the Authentic Relating Ottawa community, I think it was Friday. I'm really proud that I've now been making my bed every day for the last 3 months. And it seems like such a small thing. But I've equated in my mind the belief that if I make my bed, I care about myself. And so now it's like I've built these habits in the morning where I've got 3 things that I do in sequence every morning without fail. And I feel really good about myself doing those things. And his work is amazing.
Yeah. And I think coming back to your question, right? I think, how do we bring that work of James and moving that forward? I love the habits on a daily living good, like things that are good for you in terms of your diet, your mental health, your space. Like, how do you create that environment that it just feels good to you? But you can also apply that to your big projects and dreams, right? I want to write a book. Maybe you don't need to take 3 months and go to India to write, be on this exclusive, and maybe you're going to get there and it's not going to get done. Maybe you write half a page every day, right? And then if you do that for a year, soon enough, you're going to at least get a draft, right? And then from there, go editing. So I think, how do you make those ideas not to go away and then let them die? Because soon enough, you're going to see someone else doing it. Because that's the magic of the universe. It's like something came to you and whisper in your ear, and you're like, boom, you have that idea. If you don't manifest, the universe will try to get that energy out somewhere else.
It
And
does.
I have plenty of those ideas that I was like, this should be done. And I'm sure everyone here listening had something like this. And soon enough, a year later, 2 years later, it became a business, and you're like, oh, here, this is exactly the idea that I had. I had one happening last week, that it was just like, here it goes. I've been saying this all along. The business is done now. And it's number 12 app on health and on Apple, and it's like, here it goes.
Yeah. No, I have those ideas all the time. And my commitment in 2022 is to just share them with people that I know that will bring them to life, because I've come to a point now where the idea comes to life is way more important to me than whether or not I'm a part of it.
Exactly. And when you're in this place of abundance, it will come back to you. People will have an idea and say, Pamela, this is something that you would be amazing at. And, it just comes back to you. Like when you put out in the world, and, we use things like what goes around comes around. But it's very true, right? Like people will attach, I think maybe here's another idea. We should do another research on this if there's not out there yet, to prove that that's absolutely true, because people will attach emotions to the connection.
Yeah.
And then when ideas come and they're like that person, right? It's like a good thought that comes to their mind right away. And they call you back and say, Pamela should be the facilitator of this,
Exactly. So I'm a real like boots on the ground kind of person. And I want to bring this down even one more practical level for anyone who's listening. And that is like, it's all fine, well and good to say, let's build a habit, read about habits, learn about habits, do the things. But that sounds like a lot of discipline and willpower. And what does that look like? Like when what do you bump up against to
Absolutely.
actually get it done?
So there is definitely that, let's talk about the hard part. And I think everyone will feel that, which is I'm not enough. I'm not ready. I'm not looking good to be in front of the camera. Um, I don't have my key message yet. Like you start to be in your brain and you start to challenge your inner, creator. And that is really hard, right? Because you can create if you're already criticizing the creation,
Yeah.
right? And I think again, you can even go, there's business methods that you can look at, linear thinking, because sometimes you need the creator to come out, then you can get the criticizer to come out. But sometimes we let the brain be in all directions, and then we ended up getting nothing. We don't get the idea, we don't get the critique, we don't get like stagnant, right? So I think that's the first thing that I would say, don't try to change yourself, because that's just who you are. It's your brain
Yeah.
that was trained that way. But just try to be aware. I think that's I see that my brain's now criticizing before creating.
Yes.
Try to find those, like, what are those things that are stopping you? And I think from there, then you go into the positive, right? Like, how do you make this fun and easy for you? At
Yeah.
first, it started with that for me. So let's go back concrete. Have I told you today? It was a video every day. And then every day I would have set up, I didn't have a stand. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'm gonna buy a stand and it's always there, the same position, lighting is good. I just need to go in front of it. Then it was like, why am I doing this every day? Why don't I do 3 or 4 a day? Right? And it's like, well, because it takes me 30 seconds instead of me setting up lighting and being there. Why don't I just get this, go there and do 3 or 4? Then it became, oh, okay, why don't I do 5? And then why don't I write, instead of every day trying to come up with a message, why don't I look over the year and then come back with, here's the theme of this month. And here's the 31 messages I'm going to write all at once for that month. And then how you get to that point. So I think that was the second point. That is, the easier it becomes, then your brain just go in pilot mode, and then you free space of your brain to think about how to optimize this process.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I noticed. And then you make mistakes, right? I made 5 videos and I had the same shirt. And then someone made a comment and saying, why are you always wearing the same shirt? Different day, right? I was like, well, I recorded them all the same day. Fair point. And then I was like, well, now I'm going to do 5 different shirts. And then I do 1 video. And it's like, well, if I'm going to do 5, why don't I do so? In fact, I went 3, right? And then I said 3 shirts, and then I do 3 and 3 and 3. Now I have 9 videos.
Yeah.
But because of the Instagram grid or TikTok, it's like 3. Then it became the same shirt in the same line. And you're like, oh, another mistake. And then you maximize. You're like, well, okay, now I'm going to do 5, rotate them, because 5 is more than the 3 grid, and it won't really look like I was wearing the same shirt. So for the reader, it looks like I made a video every day, even though instead of having to do that every day at that time, it became once a month. I need to take an hour and a half to do that work. And then it's done. And every day I have to have the practice of publishing, which I now know that there are ways you can schedule your publishing.
Totally.
Correct, that I could even maximize that as well. But it's just interesting, that journey of, one, you commit to something because it's important to you, have the passion that will keep you enduring through the uncomfort zone. And then second, the more that you become a practice, then you will become autopilot. Then you can think about how do you make that practice uncomfortable and keep changing, right? So I think that's part of that journey of make it easy for you, and then make it automatic, make that commitment to yourself, and then started to maximize.
I think it's so beautiful. And I will say that, I do a lot of reading about the future and how automation, artificial intelligence, the world is changing, and it's changing at like ever increasing.
Emma, I think I lost you for a second.
Oh dear. You have frozen for me, but I can still hear you. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me, Tiago? Oh, well, I'll just keep talking for a second and see if Tiago comes back on. And if not, then we'll close this and start again. But the world is changing at ever increasing speeds. I know we all feel it. I mean, there's so much happening in this global context, and that ability to continuously adapt, to fail forward, if you will, to innovate and make mistakes and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is a skill set in a personal self-mastery toolbox that will help us thrive. And I just want to ensure that we really emphasize that skill. Welcome back, Tiago.
Hi.
And so I was just sharing that skill of failing forward, of continuously learning and adapting, is a skill in the personal self-mastery toolkit for success and thriving today, tomorrow, 2028, 2038, like that's a skill to really increase. And so there's a couple of things I want to share next. One is, in my humble experience, and I'd like to hear if it's been yours as well, like these intangible skills, like being able to be comfortable being uncomfortable, they're no different than physical skill sets. You got to start somewhere. Like I'm proud that I made my bed every day, you got to start somewhere and build on that. Right. And so it's the same thing with being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Like I have to share with people, have you ever tried? No, this is really embarrassing, but it's just so much fun to share. Have you ever noticed that when you use toilet paper, you always use the same hand?
Yes.
And have you ever tried consciously using the other hand? I mean, it feels so uncomfortable and so weird. And you're like, my body's not as flexible or whatever it is. Just notice that. Like, just commit to noticing how that is uncomfortable and you're okay. Like the job still gets done.
You know what is amazing? This sounds like a silly thing, but it's amazing for your brain. I actually had a professor in artificial intelligence, and he used to say that's how you create new connections in your brain, or even on algorithms. So
Yes.
he, on purpose, when he was driving, like he has his drive to go to work, he would get a turn somewhere random, because that was the way of, he's like, I have no idea what's going to happen, and forcing his brain to figure it out a new way. So the same way with the hand, like, and that's part of, like, now very easy, you can notice how you moved from automatic pilot, where your brain is not thinking, to slow thinking. Now, I need to really readapt. And that's an extremely good thing for you to do, for your brain and for like just experience at large.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that. So, empowerment is everything. That is the name of my business. It came to me in my teens. I'm now in my 40s. It's been a guiding principle in my life. And when I say everything, I literally mean everything. Like, I'm out to ensure and support everyone in discovering where their source of power is and how they get to act and live from that source of power. And I'm sharing in 2022 through the Empowerment Code. And I'm saying that the 3 pillars in this code are presence, play, and pleasure.
Yes.
And I would love to hear from you, Tiago. How do presence, play, and pleasure show up in your life, either in the Have I Told You Today project or anywhere?
All the time. So I really love those 3 pillars. I think presence comes back to our question about, is your brain present? Is your body present? And that's it. Like, if you're in autopilot, like, how many of us drove somewhere that you always do all the time, your coffee shop, your work, and if I ask you, did you notice what car was in front of you? Did you notice anyone that passed on the street? Did you even, like, you were not present, right? And I think the problem, and that's okay, because your brain, it's a survival technique. Your brain is actually trying to minimize the energy that it spends on doing things, right? It helps us, but then it also makes us, the dark side of it is not being present.
Yeah.
So I think that presence is very important, just like continuously changing things, being uncomfortable, because that makes your body to be present, your brain to be present. And then the beauty part of present is when you hit that blissful flow, right?
Mm,
That is just like, I didn't even see the time pass by. So
yeah.
that's when you're just like, okay, I'm fully present. You were not searching for your phone. You were not like, it was that movie, it was that conversation you had with someone that it's like, how is it possible that it's been 2 hours and it's like the time flew by? I didn't even notice, right? I'm sure everyone felt it, but that's the power of presence, and just feels, how amazing does that feel?
Oh,
It's
it
like, I didn't,
feels so amazing.
right? You
Yeah.
don't even see the time like passing. I think play,
Mhm.
it's so crucial, so fundamental, and we have completely minimized the impact of play in our society. That everything is very expected, or what we say, how we say things, everything becomes very, very expected. And then again, you're not present, right? The playfulness is like, something is, it's interesting here. It's playful, it's different. It's, I don't know what's going to happen. It may be a gamble. It may be, there are risks here, but that's part of the play on how I see that happening. And for me, being concrete again, um, doing that 1 hour of videos, 1 hour and a half,
Yeah.
I actually, if I got a text message, I didn't even want to check because I was present, right?
Yes.
Playful. It was really fun to try different outfits, different lighting, and like learn how to figure it out, the good background for the videos and how to make them different, because they cannot be always the same. So that's kind of the element of risk taking. It may be great, it may not be great. There's some I'm very proud of, others that I'm like, that's okay. Could improve, part
Yeah.
of the journey, but that playfulness, right, that we have with others as well. So I think it's super, super important. And pleasure. Come on.
Mm.
You're
Yes.
not going to do something like, if you hate doing something, hate, and I rarely use that word, it's one of my Tiago forbidden words. You're likely not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Your body will close up, your brain will close up. Like, it has to be pleasurable. Like, you need to make that to be a really good experience for you, and for that, again, it was very pleasant for me to have that commitment to the videos and see them growing. That achievement was, it was definitely a pleasure seeing comments that someone come back to me and say, hey, this really touched me. That's precisely what I needed to hear today. Again, that felt good. It was very pleasant. And again, some videos I was like, well, let me try this new lighting or something new, and feel pleasure out of that. Or with someone, sometimes I like, hold the camera, let's do it. As I've done the videos in parks sometimes. I went to a lake and like, okay, I'm with someone, I'm having a great time. Let's get the video going and just record that. So I think you have to. And there's another book, and I think I shared with you, Pamela. I think it's The Power of Fun. I forgot the author right now. I wrote it down. I'll find out. But The Power of Fun, it's a book came out now, and how important that is. We completely take fun out of our lives because we think that, I have to work, I have to produce, that's what society wants out of me, I need to deliver, I need to achieve success. And research has shown that if you're having fun, you're way more likely to have success than the other way around. Like, success will not give you fun,
No.
but there's this illusion and we take it out. And you know what? Life is short. We gotta leave it and have fun and be pleasant, be playful, and be, present.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
But tell
Play
me,
is
I have a question for you.
okay.
Like, even your own journey, I remember, this is now I'm gonna disclose this juicy information. Have you ever in a million years imagined the turn that empowerment is everything or authentic relating Ottawa would take when I was at your first ever session that you organized?
I know. I
Like, I
know.
remember you going to a Mo Monday, I think, and
Uh-huh.
presenting your idea, and I was sitting there, and then seeing that meeting that you got, I think 15 people to show up, 20 people to show up, and the turn that has taken over time, Tell me your
Yeah.
experience.
Well, I'll share with you. It's funny because someone asked me this recently and I hadn't thought about it, but so empowerment is everything. I used to journal a lot as a teenager. I mean, I still journal a lot, but a lot as a teenager living in the middle of nowhere in rural Ontario. I spent a lot of time by myself. And so I was like journaling and empowerment is everything came to me. And I think it was linked to this experience. I grew up going to church every Sunday. And there were a lot of rules and habits and things that were, you must do this because that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very stubborn person. I'm like, well, where is there room for me and my self-expression and creativity? And so I started to observe like, oh, some people follow these rules. Some people don't. And then I thought, okay, what do I like about this? Like, I know when I leave home, I'm going to leave the rule of going to church every Sunday. That was clear to me. And so in my early teens, I was like, what do I like about it? And you know what I loved? I loved about it is that we had this minister who would passionately speak from the pulpit, and the stories he would tell and the way he would speak, like people were moved. People were moved. They weren't the same person as when they walked in. And I knew in that moment that my life would be about moving people. And I've tried a lot of different things, and always with that intent of like empowerment is everything, playfully approach it, invite others to play with me, and, move. We're moving the needle here, folks. Every day in every way, the needle is moving. And so that's really, I mean, the how it looks, what it looks like. And it's always for me about the feeling. And so do I feel moved? Do others tell me that they feel moved? Okay, we're heading in the right direction. If I don't feel moved, it's that thing, like if I don't have any sense of pleasure whatsoever in the doing of it, stop doing it.
100%, 100%. And I love that you came back to church, literally, because that makes me think, I think that's how society functions at times. Like we take definitely big turns because we don't like something, and everything there's good and bad in it, right? Let's be honest. So I think, is church perfect? No. Is there good things about it? Yes.
Yeah.
I think the ritual, the making time every week to think about life, like when do we do that? To get to feel, right? Like I feel moved, or I feel, pain is okay. And like talking about emotions, right? Through storytelling that oftentimes, business America will tell you like, oh, be professional at work, right? Which is pretty much saying, get your emotions out of here. You're a robot. Come on, why are you not a robot? That makes no sense,
No sense.
You need to be. So I think all of that is very, very important. And how you get to, with your community, get people to experience that, and just seeing the growth over now. Oh, so we've met in 2014. So we're like 8 years this year.
8 years?
Yeah, and seeing that journey and how empowerment is everything has grown over this 8 years. It was not an overnight, and now I can talk about all your success, but I was there from the beginning. And to me, what I always like to talk about is that every step that you have done, the big leaps of faith, and try and error, the falls, because that led you to be where you are today.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And when I think about like the few thousand people that have come to an Authentic Relating Ottawa event and experienced the playfulness and curiosity and what it's like to be seen, heard, and valued, and the practice doing that for others.
Yep.
Here in Canada's National Capital Region, like what a great place to have an impact and a contribution. I'm very proud and very honored and humbled to get to do what I do, for sure. which is why I'm so excited to be offering this group coaching program for a select number of people, because I want to keep it intimate so that people really get a bang for their buck and a lot of personal attention coming up in February through Empowerment is Everything, because now is the time. Now is the time, Tiago. And we do it together. It's one thing to read a book alone or, you know, listen to a podcast or a YouTube, but when we link arms and say, this is what I want to do, and people remind us of that when we forget. That's why I love our relationship so much. I really cherish how much you remind me in the moments that I forget. And yeah, thank you so much for that and for this conversation today.
My pleasure. I can talk to you for days, you know.
I know. I really, really appreciate this. And maybe in closing, would you like to tell people how they can find out more about you and see all these videos?
Yes, 100%. So you can find more about Have I Told You Today on TikTok and on Instagram, and it's Have I Told You Today handle. You can search and you're gonna get a video a day with some message for you. Like I think there are videos that, again, I think that the way that the videos are curated, and I'll explain, it's about that journey of self-mastery that you're so beautifully have been guiding people through, and really reminding that accountability, that group session, that work is important, because when it gets uncomfortable, your body brain will try to run away. And then you're going to hit great peaks of like, whoa, I really overcame something. And then naturally, that's going to be your new normal until something else then will start becoming uncomfortable. And that self-mastery, it's a life journey thing. So it's not going to be today thing. It's not going to be that one workshop. It's going to be that practice that you're going to do this year. I think if you feel the call, it's a great way to go through that journey and unpack something, get uncomfortable to get comfortable, and then get ready for the next thing to come, right? And it's like we talk about that in different ways, and peeling the onion, one thing comes out, and that's the journey, and that's why we're here. That's why we continue growing. So some month will be about purpose, about dreams, about play. I think this month, we're talking about habits and about changing our lives. Some month will be just feel good, because after hard work, you need the play, and I'm just going to remind you, wherever you are, it's already amazing. So you go through that journey with me, and Have I Told You Today, Instagram, TikTok.
I love it so much, Tiago. Thank you. I've shared your videos with my nibblings and with people of all ages. It really, it's for everybody. It's kind of like a little cup of comfort every day, I would say, for my soul. So thank you.
Good. If you feel something, if I got moved, and if you got moved, we did something.
Exactly. Well, enjoy the rest of your sunny Sunday, albeit very chilly here in the nation's capital. And thank you again for your time, Tiago.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye.
With them.